Ravi's Journey to Space. Chapter 1. The Preparation. Written and read by Venkat. Everyone has passed the exam except Ravi, as usual, the physics teacher said. All the students looked at Ravi and giggled. Ravi was a bit ashamed of what the teacher had just said. But he had heard it many times from many teachers now. While all the students were leaving the classroom, the teacher called Ravi and said, Ravi, do you know that you have not even passed one physics exam out of the 3 you have taken this year? Yes, master, replied Ravi. I do not know. I do not know if you will pass physics next year or not. You seem to be daydreaming and not focusing in the class. Next year, Ravi, if you fail in physics or in any other subject, I will recommend that you leave the school. I do not want you to be sitting in the class and daydreaming all the time. The kind teacher said sternly. Ravi stood silently with his head bent down. He left the room slowly, wondering why none of the teachers ever understood him. But as he left the room, all that mattered was the 2 months summer holiday that was ahead. I can play for the whole time with my friends and cousins. I don't have to do any homework, no teachers, no sitting in the class for hours on end, no scolding and no studies. Phew, I'm very happy, Ravi thought to himself. He was very much looking forward to meeting his grandparents, especially his astronaut grandfather. He walked home slowly, imagining that he was in a strange world and that the cars and the buses in the roads were giant animals. As soon as he entered his home, he removed his shoes and went running to his mother. Mother, this year is over. I have 2 months of holiday now. Woohoo! Mother, can we visit grandfather? Mother, can we visit grandfather? I'll be a very good boy and behave myself and help grandfather in his experiments. Ravi Okay. I will take you to grandfather's house next week, Mother said. Ravi was waiting for the week to pass by. And as the next week approached, he got more and more excited. Ravi's grandfather was an astronaut before he retired. He now conducts his own experiments and research in his private laboratory. Ravi was always excited to visit his grandfather. Even though Ravi did not understand a lot of the theories or experiments that his grandfather said to him, he felt proud in assisting his grandfather. The next day, Ravi and his mother took the bus to reach his grandparents' town. From the bus station, they took a taxi to the grandparents' house. As the taxi approached closer and closer to his grandparents' house, Ravi's heart was beating faster, filling with joy, and his face was filled with smiles. He had a great sense of anticipation to be meeting his grandparents after a few months now. As the taxi stopped, Ravi jumped out and ran into the house shouting, Grandmother! Grandfather! His grandmother was waiting for them and she was delighted to see Ravi and she went towards him and hugged him. How are you, my dear Ravi? She asked. I'm very good, grandmother. How are you? Where is grandfather? He asked. I want to see him. He was jumping with joy. He's in his laboratory working on something. Go and say hello to him, grandmother said. Ravi ran into his grandfather's laboratory. As he entered, he saw the long, slender figure of his grandfather, bent down and working on something. Something that looked like a small rocket. Ravi looked in amazement at the small room-sized rocket, and he even forgot to wish his grandfather hello. He slowly approached his grandfather and asked, "Wow! What is this, grandfather?" "Hello, Ravi. Good to see you back." His grandfather smiled at him. "This is a new type of rocket that I am constructing, and it's almost finished," grandfather said. Ravi's eyes were filled with awe as he asked, "Is this a real one? Is it real? What does it do?" His grandfather kept aside the equipment that he was working on and turned to Ravi, ruffling his hair, said, "Yes, Ravi, this is a real rocket. This will be useful for astronauts to travel to space, the moon, or even to other planets." "To other planets? Wow!" Ravi could not believe what he just heard. His grandfather continued, "The new feature in this rocket is that it does not require any chemical fuel. It controls and uses the Earth and the other planets' magnetic field and the solar power," grandfather said. Even though Ravi did not understand it completely, he did not bother about it. He just looked with great interest at the rocket. His grandfather continued, "If this rocket is successfully launched, it will revolutionize all future rocket launches, Ravi," he said. "Grandfather, you're a genius. When will you finish this rocket?" Ravi asked. Well, if everything goes according to plan, the rocket will be ready by next week," grandfather said. "Can I help you in your work?" Ravi asked, for which grandfather gladly accepted. "Now, Ravi, hand me that equipment and let us test our rocket," grandfather said. Ravi was very proud and happy to help his grandfather. The next day, Ravi's mother left and gave him ample advice on how to behave properly. He nodded his head in agreement to everything. But as soon as she left, he became the usual naughty boy that he was. His grandmother prepared very delicious sweets and he had no qualms about eating as much as he wanted. His grandfather, in spite of his grandmother's complaints, remained in the laboratory until long hours. One day, when Ravi was dining with his grandparents, he told his grandmother about all the new things that he had learned in the last few days working with grandfather. Grandfather was just smiling at Ravi's enthusiasm. The next day, Ravi was in the laboratory as usual. When he heard his grandfather say, "Bravo! The rocket is finished, tested and it is ready to fly." "Is it really going to fly? How do you propose to check if it works?" Ravi exclaimed once more in surprise. "Yes, Ravi, I'm going to see if it works by flying it to the moon tomorrow." Ravi was astounded to hear this and he asked, "Grandfather, to the moon? Grandfather, can I come with you? I'd really like to come with you to the moon. I'd really like to come. Ravi said. "Well, Ravi, I'm not sure if your parents would approve of it," grandfather said. Well then don't tell them about it. Ravi smiled. I cannot do that, Ravi. Let us think. Maybe, maybe I can take you to the outer space between Earth and the moon. Would that be okay for you? Grandfather asked. Oh, that is more than okay. Ravi jumped in joy. Well, Ravi, if you go to outer space, you will be the youngest person ever to do that, Grandfather said. He thought for a while and asked, Ravi, are you sure that you want to go to space? It would be a very different and difficult experience. Before his grandfather could finish, Ravi was shouting, Yes, yes, yes! I want to come as well, I want to come as well. His grandfather was smiling as if he was expecting such a reaction from Ravi. Can I wear my favorite shirt tomorrow? Ravi asked naively. No, no, you should be wearing a spacesuit. Come, let us find a spacesuit for you, Grandfather said. What is a spacesuit? Ravi questioned. A spacesuit is just like the pair of trousers or the shirt that you wear, but the spacesuit is especially designed for you to be wearing in space or when you're not in the earth, Grandfather said. Can you explain it in detail? Ravi asked. Okay, Ravi, let me see how I can explain it clearly to you, Grandfather said. Okay, our body needs a specific temperature and pressure to function properly. Space has no air and is a vacuum, so we cannot breathe. And since there is no air, the pressure is too low. Our body cannot withstand such harsh pressure. The temperature as well in space is either too hot or too cold. And there is a lot of harmful radiation coming from the sun and the outer space, Grandfather said. The spacesuit protects us from all these dangers. Even though Ravi did not understand it all, he just nodded in acceptance. Grandfather took Ravi to his chamber full of spacesuits of different sizes. After a while of searching and fitting, they found a spacesuit for Ravi. Sleep well tonight, Ravi. We have a long journey awaiting us tomorrow, said Grandfather. That night, Ravi could not sleep properly. He closed his eyes and tried his best to sleep, but in vain. He was too excited to sleep. He got out of bed and opened his window. Beneath the trees, there was the big crescent moon shining brightly. The Orion constellation appeared bigger too. There were a lot more stars than usual for him. I wonder how many stars there are in space, Ravi thought to himself. Above him, the Milky Way appeared beautiful across the sky. It was a special night for Ravi. Wow, a long journey awaits me, Ravi said to himself as he went back to bed.